2013 Prime Minister's Award, Agriculture Award, for planting over 100,000 trees. That was part of that Sand Road. So this young fellow, if he gets to the university, will be one of the richest students. Change is coming about. We have some helpers all the way from the UK that were there for about 7 years, to others. This is their waste. They said,
again, a keynote to note from the presentations that we've had from this morning is partnership, collaboration is the which is part of the way forward. It's been highlighted in the last presentation, so that is one of the takeaways so far this morning. Again, let's show appreciation to Dr. Suva.
It's a privilege to be here today. I think it is great for me to come early and listen to that presentation, overarching presentation. I thought this was only going to be about maritime affairs and about security, but apparently it's a more holistic look at the oceans and what we need to do collaboratively to look after these oceans and in turn look after the lives and the welfare of the people that we have in the Pacific. So it's a privilege to be here to officiate at this opening of the third Southwest Pacific Heads of Maritime Forces meeting. I'm just back from a cabinet meeting where we talked about some of the issues that you're talking about. We also talked about this particular meeting and the fact that it's being held here. And I'd like you to know that Cabinet is aware of this meeting this morning, and we'd like to assure you all of our support of Cabinet with all the things that you'll be talking about in the meeting. Also like to express my sincerest gratitude to the New Zealand government, Aussie, and the Sasakawa Peace Foundation for their financial support towards co-hosting this workshop with the Fiji government. Moreover, I understand and wish to acknowledge that there will also be a group of learned academics, one of whom we've just heard from, and specialists who are amongst us that will be presenting various topics concerning maritime security and climate change over the next 2 days. I am optimistic that their professional insights on regional oceans governance, climate change, and maritime security will enhance and improve our knowledge as operators and protectors of our seas. As operational level maritime security representatives from the Southwest Pacific region, I hope that you will maximize this opportunity to learn from each other, focus discussions on the theme for this year's meeting, climate change, the regional maritime security threat. The theme is directly in line with that of the Pacific Island Forum Leaders meeting that is currently underway in Tuvalu, which is securing our future for the Pacific. And the future of our oceans is the future of the people of the Pacific. It is without doubt that climate change poses the single greatest threat to our livelihoods and our existence. Climate change and its effects poses a formidable set of fundamental challenges to life in the Pacific Islands. But these challenges can be managed individually as by sovereign states and collaboratively as a region so that their impacts are minimal. And I think that message has been coming through from the presentation that I've just heard. The need for ocean governance, the need to do it at a regional level, and the need to do it more effectively at a national level. The recent South Pacific Defense Ministers meeting hosted in Nadi in May of this year endorsed and stressed the importance of collaborating regionally in addressing this issue and reinforcing various strategic and operational level, national and regional management initiatives. The establishment and progression of this meeting is a key outcome of the South Pacific Defense Ministers meeting of 2019. In order for these management initiatives, or as commonly known as climate adaptation plans, to be effective, it is necessary for all states and people living within our region or having our interests at heart to subscribe to and sustain effective adaptation strategies. Major climate-related security concerns for the Pacific Islands include access to fresh water due to changes in rainfall patterns and saltwater intrusion. And this is becoming an issue even in Fiji, which is regarded as one of the larger island states here in the Pacific. Local food supply as a result of damage to coral reefs, declining fisheries, and impacts on agriculture. And third, very important for my ministry, infrastructure damage through rising sea levels, flooding, and storm damage, and the need for resilient infrastructure. Most of our infrastructure is placed in places where it is highly likely to be impacted by climate change. So there's a great need for resilience to all the infrastructure that we have in our Pacific Island countries. Potentially, these impacts are further projected to second-order consequences, such as economic loss from these frequent natural disasters, disastrous calamities, declining revenues from tourism, and thirdly, human security migration, especially from atoll islands subject to inundation from the sea level rise. For some island nations consisting entirely of low-lying atolls, including Kiribati, Tuvalu, and the Marshall Islands, rising sea levels comprise a threat to life itself in these islands. Climate change will continue to present a growing challenge to Pacific Island security for the foreseeable future, as the worst is yet to come. In the Pacific, climate change will threaten our coastlines. It will encroach further on freshwater supplies and arable land, slowly sink small low-lying islands, cause more frequent and more devastating tropical storms, and not just tropical storms, more intense floods even, much more intense floods that are happening now in Fiji, will affect maritime boundaries and exclusive economic zones. What happens to economic zone when islands begin to sink under the ocean, and the definition of those economic zones? Those must be interesting legal questions for people to ponder. All of these pose direct threats to peace and security in our region. From a maritime security lens, the greatest resource of our developing and maritime region is our oceans, or our maritime space. And until the beginning of the 90s, military threat, territorial integrity, and our own vital interests were considered as a focus area of our maritime security. But after globalization evolved and conflicts varied in nature, sea transportation was the main method of exchanging goods and services throughout the world. This increase in maritime operations, although beneficial, also had serious negative impacts, which has become a major concern for the Pacific Islands and our maritime security. It has developed or shifted maritime security perspectives to face non-military threats, such as jurisdictional disputes, transnational organized crime, which includes traffic in small arms, illegal movement of people and drugs, and third, illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing and piracy. These are just a few of the critical issues affecting our region. So I am pleased that we can all be here to learn more, to discuss, to share ideas and experiences, and to map a way forward towards a stable and safe maritime security environment. I understand that one of the primary objectives of the workshop is to protect the sea lanes of communication, either for trade, shipping lines, for gathering natural sea resources and other sea-based activities. Thus, beyond traditional notions, in order to achieve these objectives, we must be able to organize ourselves cohesively as responsible international citizens. We should consider the globalized world we live in and also recognize that internal security environment is no longer shaped by domestic and regional factors alone. Therefore, we must be mindful of positive and negative externalities. We must maximize our bilateral and multilateral relationships in order to mitigate current and emerging maritime security trends. In concluding, I would like to stress the importance of enhancing regional partnerships in affordable capability, support, alignment of operational frameworks for better interoperability, capacity building, and information sharing, which are all critical for maximum operational effect. This forum is the perfect platform for operational level leaders to influence and implement the necessary machinery required for a safer and secure region. I firmly believe that together we have a stronger voice and effect on the safety and security of our nations. With those few words, I now declare the third Southwest Pacific Heads of Maritime Forces meeting open. And may God bless us all and God bless our workshop.